Welcome back to another episode of the Second Look Hockey Podcast. As always, I'm your host, David Leo, and I'm joined with me, as always, with Cristian Ceniti. Cristian, we've had one heck of a week for the start of the NHL playoffs. I just want to get some notes. Like, you're working full-time, basically, for these playoffs. How has that experience been for you?
Full-time for the Leafs, for sure.
I mean,
right?
that's a full-time job in itself, so...
Definitely. I've just had a very steady rotation of songs every single day. I'm going to sound like a Rogers show here, but lay it on the line. Like that commercial, I know some people are already sick of it. I'm not. I think they really nailed that commercial. That song's been on repeat. Kickstart My Heart, another one they did the opening of the series.
Listen.
Come on.
I love that song, but I will
You're
say,
tired of it?
No, I'm not tired of it, but I wouldn't mind a switch up. Like, come on. There's multiple Motley Crue songs you can use. There's plenty of songs from like that hair metal 80s if that's the route that they wanted to take.
Oh yeah.
But if they were going to pick one song, Kickstart My Heart is just a bop.
Yeah.
It's just such a banger especially for what we've seen over the past week. Like, that is the encapsulation of the start of the playoffs, I think, personally.
I'm looking forward to tomorrow maybe hearing a bit more Panama. That's another one that's obviously, right, it's been going strong.
Before we hop into anything, I do have a question for you. I understand how the Leafs, going up against, I think it's Original Six and all Canadian matchups, like at home, when they use their goal song, or if it's maybe just like the East.
So
how does it work?
I thought the rule was that they only use Panama against the Original Six teams, and
I
obviously
thought so too.
This would break the rule. So they're gonna have to win on Tuesday so we can find out in the next round what the rule is, because maybe it is like you're saying, maybe it's Original Six plus Canadian teams.
Yeah,
because I was expecting Doop, but Panama is honestly doing the job.
Okay,
more than fun, right?
my thing is, just give me full-time Doop. I don't care about.
Okay.
I don't care about going against different opponents. Like, just give me the one. I like Doop so much, and I think that's just a great hype up song for the playoffs when the Leafs score. Maybe it's just because I've been to a few games. Like the one game I went to against the Flyers this year when John Tortorella got fired a couple days after.
Lots of Doop.
Leafs put up a 7 spot, and the Doop was dooping all night. So that's just my quick 2 cents on that in general. But
my last song take before we're going to get to something that was kind of breaking news this morning and before the playoff stuff. But last song take was, so last night, the opening for the Habs-Caps game, and they also reused it for the Oilers-Kings game, which is fine. It was Red Flag by Billy Talent.
It's a good song.
It's another excellent song. That's an NHL, like, I want to say, like, 13 classic.
I was going to say, like, NHL 12 or 13. Yeah. It's got to be one of those.
Great song.
Great song.
So, hey, song choices have been really good for these opening seasons.
There's a laundry list of songs that they could take from the old school NHL games if they really wanted to. Give me a little Moni at some point. I remember that must have been like NHL 12. It's a great song. I love that song so much. But
I'm right there.
But yeah, as you alluded to, I'll be completely honest with you. I had a fine week. I just worked a lot and watched a lot of hockey. I'm gonna get that out of the way.
I was doing both at the same time.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that right out of the way. You don't need to know about my week because it's the same as always. But I think what we should get to first and foremost, right off the top, thank goodness we caught this before we started recording today. Mike Sullivan let go by the Pittsburgh Penguins this morning. He was the second longest serving head coach currently before today in the NHL, hired December 2015. Do you know who the first longest serving coach was?
I do, but I didn't know about Mike Sullivan at number 2 because I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I know Mr. John Cooper's number 1, which is still like surprising.
A long time. Over 10 years.
And you know what? It definitely makes sense that it's Mike Sullivan because he would have came in the middle of the 15-16 16 season,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Had
So
they just fired? Was Dan Bylsma the coach that they had fired at that point, or was it somebody
no,
else?
no, you know what? This is like a nameless dude. I'm pretty sure his name was Mike John. I think it was a Mike Johnston. Like I'm
But
pretty sure. I know we already
not Magic
not
Mike, not Mystic Mike
no,
on TSN.
not Mystic Mike, but this is a guy who came in. Honestly, it might have been his first year in Pittsburgh too, and he gets canned in the middle of the year. We know the rest is history for Mike Sullivan, right? But
Yeah.
now he's history in Pittsburgh. I know you said that they're letting him go. They are using like the agreed to part ways
Yeah.
terminology here. He did have 2 years left on his deal, so I guess maybe it's not a full on firing. It's the timing is a little interesting. Like this wasn't like a what do they call it after the day after the season ends, or it's like a
Is it like Black
something.
Friday or red?
I think it's
something. Black, red, something.
You just put up the meme of the Grim Reaper knocking on the doors,
and you got Mike Sullivan's face like with a door that's being knocked.
This is the thing. Yeah, exactly. Like he knocked on the door. The door didn't open the day after the regular season, but it opened.
They had to get the eviction notice, I think. They had to break down the door.
I think if there's one thing we learned about Kyle Dubas, we probably learned a couple things, but one thing is that he's not really a reactionary guy, I would say. Like he definitely prefers to take his time with stuff.
I mean, unless the Leafs score in overtime against the Tampa Bay Lightnings, then he's a pretty reactionary guy.
He's all water bottle, no thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I think it's interesting that he took some time to think about it, and maybe not just him, but you got to think Sidney Crosby as well, right? Like that's always a part of the conversation. So is this going to be a endorsement of just full on going like youth? Like it depends on obviously who they hired here, but Mike Sullivan was a coach to try and win you a Stanley Cup. Are they going to be bringing in another coach with the same goal? Or else there's this kid named Gavin McKenna who, I don't know if you've been paying attention too much to the junior stuff, but like he just keeps on rolling. Like I think he had a 5-point game.
What's his point streak up to now? Is it?
I think it's 50 something, and he's got 128 points.
That's so ridiculous, man. That's
poor Easton Cowan's gonna hold this record for like a couple months.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah, like that's where my thoughts go to immediately. Obviously, this, like we said, this is really, really fresh. So, Black Monday is what Mando's saying. It's usually called.
That's a good one.
I guess, yeah, because I guess it's usually the NFL that this comes from, right? Where after the last game of the year on a Sunday, you get all that stuff. So, like the Leafs had one when Nonis got fired.
I feel like we've had that in the past, though, with like the few teams like away.
Well, even this year, like it's just kind of not been as big of a story. But like the Ducks fired Greg Cronin. I feel like I'm missing another one too. There's been a couple firings, let goes, but
like John Torts, that was like a couple weeks left of the season, right?
Yeah. So there's been a couple in the stretch here. David Carl apparently turned down the Blackhawks job, I think a couple days ago. I don't know if he's a name here. He has the benefit of really being able to pick his spot because he's got such a great resume that he's got lots of leverage. So I don't know if really Pittsburgh is somewhere that he'd be feeling to go. I don't know if you had a name in mind here.
So I don't have a name, but I tried to connect a couple of dots. And I think it's very well established of we know what Kyle Dubas likes. And he likes people in the Sault Ste. Marie organization, guys that he's worked with in the past. So I tried following a little bit of the breadcrumb path. While Kyle Dubas was a GM with the Sioux between 2011 and 2014, he worked under two head coaches. One of them was Sheldon Keefe, and the other one, it wasn't Drew Bannister. It was somebody else, but I don't think he would be
someone in NHL circles or no?
I don't think he's in NHL circles.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I looked, the next name after Kyle Dubas left was Drew Bannister, who formerly just got fired by the St. Louis Blues. But their timelines, I don't think, match up. So that's why I don't know if I have him crossed off the list. Then I was like, okay, what if Kyle Dubas is no stranger to hiring from within? So I was like, okay, what if we go down to Wilkes-Barre Scranton? They just hired Kirk McDonald this past year, so 2024. And I think he's a little bit too green to be making the jump to the NHL. They got him from the USHL, from the Dubuque, is it the Fighting Stars, I believe is their name. He's a career AHL guy, playing and then even coaching. He coached a bit with like the Reading Royals, but it was mainly as a head coach in the USHL with Dubuque. So yeah, I was like, I tried to come up with some names like that I could right now without going on just purely speculation. Yeah, I don't know. They might have to go external for this one, if I'm going to be honest. And you know what, David Carl, maybe.
I'm sure like everyone has interest in him, but it's more of like this, like who is he going to have the most interest in? I'd be honest, outside looking in, I don't know if it's going to be Pittsburgh. But
it's almost like a tale of like, so he turns down, David Carl in particular, he turns down Chicago. But you also now have an opening in Pittsburgh. I kind of feel like it's a tale of two franchises. They're two franchises at complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Both of them are bad. That part of the spectrum they're on. But you have one franchise who's trying to get back to their old relevance with younger stars in Chicago. And then you have Pittsburgh, who have an aging group trying to get back into for like one last dance, basically, unless they don't want to. But everything kind of points to the fact that they do. So I don't know.
I think like this, whoever they bring in is going to tell us, right? That'll be the answer. Real 100%. Quick before we get to the playoff action, Mike Sullivan, any idea where he goes? Like, I'm already seeing people say like Bruins and Rangers. I mean, Mike Sullivan's a pretty grumpy guy, and I would say the vibes in Boston and New York right now are grumpy. I don't know if you want to be compounding that kind of vibe, though, in those two places. It feels like they need less grumpiness.
Yeah.
Really, really, really quick. Did you have like a spot there? But,
I was just trying to see,
because much time on it.
Mike Sullivan also sounds like oh, wow, look at this. Would you go, because I was like, Mike Sullivan sounds like a Boston guy. Just that name, he sounds like somebody from... like that went to UMass, basically, right?
Yeah.
Guess where he's from? Marshfield, Massachusetts. He's a Beantown guy.
He already coached them once. Like when he got his first stint as an NHL head coach, it was in Boston
with Providence.
No, like with the Bruins.
Oh, really?
With the Bruins, yeah. I don't think it went too well.
Yeah.
I don't. So like there's history there, but
well, now he's
we'll leave that.
Right? So
he's got lots of experience, and he's got 2 Stanley Cups, which the Bruins might like.
Just we'll see where that last quick thought on this thing. So I said Mike Sullivan was the second longest serving head coach. Do you think you can put a guess out as to who number 2 is now? I'll give you a quick hint. This team is currently in the playoffs.
Okay, playoff team. But yeah, I think I've got a good guess.
Who is it?
Give me Bednar.
It is Jared Bednar, which is kind of crazy because I don't see Jared Bednar as being like number 2 in terms of longest tenured guys. But you know, August 2016, that's close to 10 years now. The Pens now 3 straight seasons without making the playoffs, the first time since 01-02 to 05-06. So we will see if they can get back on track for the end of the Sidney Crosby, Guinea Malkin, Chris Letang era in Pittsburgh. On that note, do you want to hop right into the Yoffs?
Let's go to the Yoffs.
All right, baby.
Let's go.
All right. So it seems like it's been a long time since we've talked about the Leafs ad nauseum. And guys, it's not going to get any better for the people that don't like it, because that's who we're going to start the series off, this little recap off with. Leafs currently up 3-1. Christian, how surprised are you that this isn't 3-1 not in the Leafs' favor, or 2-2 and we are begging and screaming and crying about the Leafs right now.
Hey, listen. Let's own our feelings here, okay? At the preview, we had a unanimous decision, right? Leafs in 6 was the across the panel. I would say for game 1, that's Easter Sunday. I don't really know if I was feeling a certain way about how it was going to go. A lot of question marks. And outside of the game being heavily in the Leafs' favor, I think the most encouraging thing was the fan support at the arena was fantastic. They were great. Heading into game 2, I woke up that morning and my confidence radar was like very much directed. Like I was feeling really good about game 2. Like I felt like that was one we were going to win. Game 3, I had kind of no feel at all.
Yeah.
I don't know if you tracked with that too.
My pessimism took over, and I was like,
okay. But you did feel away. Like
let's just get the loss out of the way now, and hope that we get a split going into 4. I mean, that prediction did come true, just in the opposite way of
got there in a different way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, like I feel like people are being a little too reactionary to the loss already. Like, I think we need to, as Leafs Nation, it's really hard for us to do. We've been beaten and broken so many times. But it's like you said, like no matter how you slice and dice it, it is a 3-1 series lead for the Toronto Maple Leafs, okay? I think we have to be feeling really confident still going into game 5 because we played really well to me in game 4 too. Like I do not think we got away from our game plan as a team outside of maybe the first period. And I'm not even going to say maybe. We did not have the same jump as the Ottawa Senators in the first period of game 4. We didn't.
And that's to be expected. That is a team that was playing for their playoff lives, right? They're playing for their season. So you have to expect something like that.
We did, like the Leafs definitely got better, I thought, as the game went on, and obviously they have the comeback from down 2-0, and then the 3-2 comeback OEL with the equalizer. I'm just really impressed with just how consistent they've been, no matter the score. Like the team has not changed how they've played, whether they're up or down, tied game. It really feels like they're just within. There hasn't been roller coaster highs and lows. Like it's just been really even keel. And like I almost want to issue an apology to Craig Berube for having doubts about kind of his direction in the middle of the year. Remember when we lost 3 in a row that first time? There was the loss to Vancouver. Tanev comes out and says like got to be better, and then Marner kind of had like a bit of a tone deaf quote. And I was really expecting like Berube to come out with a accountability type of presser, and he didn't. And then Nylander followed up Willie's quotes with kind of similar stuff about how we're playing good and whatever, like just kind of brushing off like the fan base's concerns. They've been really good as a team, and just as starting with the coaching staff, starting with Craig Berube, of like just a direct focus on winning. Like they have done a great job all year, and now specifically in this series, of making it just about winning. Like, how many conversations have you had about Tavares' contract or Marner contract? Like, it's not
Marner
been
stuff,
a thing.
Not since trade deadline, I think, honestly.
No. So, and I where I said it at the top, like some of the panic, I've seen too many people kind of already going to Mitch and Austin about, not directly, I'm saying like just expressing their concerns with their performance in game 4. I don't know if you had an evaluation, if you want to go first, but like to me, I thought they got better as the game went on. They had their best chances to be in the third and in overtime.
Yeah.
No, they didn't score on them. Yes, they had chances that maybe they could have, should have.
Yeah, that one off the post, I believe that would have been an OT on that 4-minute power play. I think it was from Austin, was the one where it was like, oh, you desperately want that to go in. Sometimes it doesn't fall in your way. I think for me personally, it's now I want to see, this is the point in time that we know how high profile it is. Game 5 is the one, especially for Mitch, where we see the stats coming out. It's the point differential splits between game 1 to 4 and games 5 to 7. It drops off expeditiously. It's like a 0.8 point per game in those first 4 games for Mitch, and it drops off like in half to just under 0.5 points per game. So my biggest challenge for Mitch is, okay, game 5 is the elimination game for the Sens. How do you respond to kind of put them over the edge and put them on the sword? And we also, the record, that stupid record that they kept playing on Sportsnet all night, and I saw it on SN Stats, and like I know some of the people that work there, and I know what their MO is, because they some people just thrive for those types of stats and to kind of shove it in your face, where it's like 1 in 12 or 1 in 13 in closeout games. It's like, I get it. We know what the DNA of this team is. It's just like, guys, please, like, don't shove it in our faces. That's how you get people just so bitter and sour. But I guess that's just what they're going for. You're trying to get clicks. You're trying to get eyes on the screen. I get it, but it's like, oh my God, as a fan, it really pisses me off.
I'm two-sided, because, like, you're right that, like, it is, like, everywhere, but at the same time, it's like the facts are the facts. Like, you want to just present them. And I think to the point of, like, what I'm talking about with Craig Berube is, in the past, I think for sure the fan base is always going to be affected by, like, the ghosts and whatever. Craig Berube doesn't have Toronto Maple Leafs ghosts, right? And if you want to talk about a team kind of taking on the identity of their coach, he's going to have to give them some ghost amnesia, okay? A little bit of an exorcism here. And
Ghostbusters.
We're going to have Craig Berube Ghostbusters here. That's the hope, at least, right? And I would say, too, like that stat of whatever it is in clinching games, series clinchers, there's a big difference between a 3-0 game 4 and a game 7 where both teams can clinch. Like, I'm not holding those at the same level. I'm just not. Mm-hmm. I'm not. So it is a little, like, to your point, it's a little bit of a skewed stat.
Also included in there are like the game 5, 6, and 7 against the Habs as well, right? Where it's like you had the 3-1 lead to put Montreal on the sword. Now, I guess that's a different makeup of the team. That's close to 5 years ago now, but I think it would also not, like, it isn't just unfair to say, like, you had a similar type of situation in the past that you just couldn't close out on. And my thing is, let's see. I want to see actions and not words. And I think the words that they have had in the past, we saw the 2 OT winners. I thought the quotes coming out of that were it was basically nonstop, job not finished. Like the Kobe Bryant, job not finished. I love that.
What I love too is that, like, those quotes didn't make the rounds unless you went to go look for them, because they were very, like, they're
very muted.
Like, on to the next. Exactly. And Craig Berube, how many Craig Berube quotes can you remember from this year?
I literally don't know what his voice sounds like. I mean, I do, but
we definitely we do. But, like, yeah, you can't tell me what the quote is. How many Keith quotes can we pull out? Soft and purposeless. Walking back the.
Just by the first month, like, of his thing, he already had 2 or 3, right?
Because he credit to him, really honest guy, maybe sometimes too honest. And I think with Berube, he is he might not, like, he's a little bit of, if you just looked at your perception of him, I don't know if maybe you would always think he would give the most thoughtful answer. I think he's purposefully protective of his real thoughts. Like, I think he does, like, kind of dumb it down in the media, and leaves it for the dressing room. And he's been consistent with that. And that's what you want, is consistency. I'm going to lay out my few concerns that I have here going into Game 5. Some trends that I'm sure everyone's been noticing too. But strength for the Leafs has been the blue line in this series, right? They've gotten some offense from it, but they've also just got consistency across all 6 guys, right? Like, they have basically been rolling the 3 pairs. Like, Simon Benoit had games where he's played more than Tanev and Brandon Carlo. I think last game was actually, I think he played 19. He was the only guy under 20. So that one, they kind of pulled him back a bit. But point being is Dave, you feel comfortable with any defenseman on the ice, don't you, right now?
Yeah,
Like
might be the first time in this era where it's like you
yeah,
run out any 6 of the guys that are there, and it's
yes,
like you're at least feel 50-50, like 50-50 in
yeah,
terms of confidence, as opposed to like get this guy off the ice. He literally cannot be on the ice for more than 10 minutes a night.
yes. Now to that point, this was a clear advantage coming into the series, and it's borne out that way so far. The Sens, I talked about it like in our marquee matchups. I was looking at the Leafs third line versus the Sens third pair, Cleven and Matt. Those guys have not played like I think more than 15 minutes in one game. I think Cleven might have broke that last game. My point is though, they've been getting better. Like Cleven especially was a difference maker last game.
Yeah.
Has the reverse hit on Lorenz, has the like just because so much happened in overtime there, we forget in the third period, Lorenz had that chance on the doorstep that flutters past Olmark's glove and whacks it out of midair. It's Cleven.
Yeah.
Right? He's been getting better as the series has gone on. Matt and Paolo, not really to the same extent, but like you are seeing the Sens get more comfortable with running out their guys to the same-ish level as the Leafs. So it's still a clear advantage Leafs, but that's one thing I noticed, huge difference from game one. I think Cleven and Matt and Paolo played less than 12 minutes each in game one. They basically went 4 defensemen for Ottawa. That's the first thing. Second thing, and this was very clearly illustrated with JT out after a Zub interference, non-call, whatever you want to call it, took him to the bench, into the dressing room. The hit in overtime. On the power play, things haven't been trending as well there in the past 2 games for the Leafs. Can't score on the double minor in OT, and just haven't had the same kind of snappiness that we saw in the first couple games. And the Sens, they score a shorthanded goal. Stützle scores power play goal to start off the game. The special teams are starting to even out too, right? And I think as the series gets on, like it's all about like adjustments and like counter punches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the Sens, like, give them credit. They've upped their game on the special teams. The Leafs kind of have to respond now. We assume with JT, like, he came back in this game, so hopefully, like, we can get back to that 5-man unit. But I don't know. Have you like seen any concerns power play wise, or
well,
I mean, even on the PK or whatever?
It was very
right?
evident. I mean, okay, the PK really hasn't been the one of their strengths.
No, it hasn't been. It hasn't been.
I think for the PK, it just needs to kind of even out, basically. And also, you know, as the series starts to tick forward, you would hope that there isn't as... Like, I would hope that just kind of gets neutralized, because as good as the Leafs' power play has been, I think that we're just going to start seeing less and less calls. And I think that also has the same effect on the Sens, who have had a much better power play recently. And I hope that seeing less and less of the calls just kind of evens it out, because the Sens at 5-on-5, they don't generate as much. Like, what the past 2 games, or was it game 2 and game 3, said the Sens in the third period literally had a shot, maybe a couple of shots in the third period. They would go for 12 plus minutes without a shot, and
game
most
4
of that time coming in the third period.
In game 4, Leafs held the Sens in the second period to 1 shot, and in the third period to 3 shots.
Mm.
So the Sens had 4 shots
for 40 minutes.
Periods. For 40 minutes. And then I also am going to pull up, like you said, I think in the third period of game 3, I believe it was, where they held them to like nothing.
Yeah,
you're right about that too.
But you know what? To Otto's credit, I think 2 of those shots, or whatever, if it's like 1 shot in game 3 and then like 1 of the 4 in game 4, happen to get by. And
yep.
I don't want to like think Anthony Stolarz has been outright fantastic, but a couple of the goals late in the series, it was the tying goal in game 3, and I think in game 4, did he have one that was a little bit shaky?
The Stützle one, I wouldn't say so. The Pinto one, maybe. It's shorthanded on a breakaway, so I don't know how much it trickles through.
That one's a tough one
on the rebound. Yeah, I like, if I'm picking any of those, it's probably the Pinto one, because we've seen him make that stop. Like he's had some breakaway stops in this series, definitely. And that's one where he's so close to having. But
Mm,
I think that the great thing is, I don't like he's outplayed Olmark in every single game. Like even
I think you're right. Yeah,
Olmark's game might
even in
have
the
been
loss.
his, yeah, like Olmark's best game might have been this past one, and even then, I would say the OEL goal, the tire, that's a cross zone pass by Willie, like literally from one end board to the other, and Omar can't get across to OEL, and he scores like right under his armpit, right? Like
Mm,
that's one. Like you can still give the stinky ones to Sens too, and I'm sure Sens fans are aware of that. Like I'm always gonna feel more confident, like with the goalie matchup. Yeah, going into Game 5. My last one, and this can turn into like positives too, and we can look at Game 5 what we think here. Um, I think Willie has a point in every single game, or at least I know he does. I think he's got 5 points here,
mm.
but we haven't seen a Willie like takeover game yet. And, like we're due for that. We're
You're
due
right.
for that. So as much as people are pointing to Austin and Mitch, and those guys are always going to carry like the heaviest loads. I think they carry like heavy loads at both ends of the ice, though. And this actually goes to like Mando talked about this at the start of the series about maybe taking Marner off the PK to free him up to carry more of the load offensively. I'm still of the opinion that you really need Mitch and Austin because they've both been penalty killing there. Like you need them, but Willie's the type of guy where that's where you want definitely more of the load heavier on the offensive side. And I thought, especially last game, I noticed just some like really not Nylander like rushes and just
Very listless,
oh
if I'm going to be honest.
yeah, just not like skating like Willie. Like I don't know if it's and we don't know we won't know if it's an injury or anything, but it feels like we haven't even had like a takeover Willie period, let alone a game. And like I said, like he's been picking up the points. Like he has the primary assist on the game tying goal in Game 4, but I think you'd agree, right? Like it hasn't been like he can have games where he looks like he's like a top 5 player in the NHL, and we haven't had that in this series.
Yeah, yeah.
He had those last year coming back from injury against Boston, right? He scored
Well,
3 goals in 4 games.
that's what I was about to say. I think the last time that we had a Willie takeover game was probably that game where he
Game
got
6.
two in
Yeah.
Toronto. So now we're Game 5, heading back to the Scotiabank Arena with the real like the home fans in support. That
Yeah.
is somebody who maybe I'm looking to him. I honestly I had him pegged as my pick for the Leafs OT winner just because I was like he looks very listless right now, but he is the type of guy to look listless for much of the game, and then all it takes for
Sure.
him is one shift to kind of like to turn it on. But that didn't happen last game. Maybe it happens this game. My 1 point for concern though, is that Leafs third line. Dude, Max Domi, he had like what a just jubilous OT winner in Game 2, right? But a lot, and that's going to erase what a lot of people might forget was 4, 5 turnovers. A lot of them like in his defensive zone. I don't think he was having a great game in game 2, and then he decides to turn it on and scores the game winner in OT. Game 3, Game 4, same types of things where it's like
Takes the bad penalty to start off the game too. Right?
yes, yeah,
Bad penalty that they end up scoring on.
yeah, and I don't want to just call out Max Domi. We also have like Nick Robertson who took a bad penalty in Game
No matter how
3.
no matter how they've put that line together so far, it hasn't really worked
Yeah.
consistently
Mm-hmm.
for stretches, like 10-minute stretches, but you're never like, this is it, we figured it out. Like even it's really sucked that Bobby McMahon hasn't had a great impact on this series.
And that was my next point was
Yeah,
I need to see a lot more out of Bobby McMahon for as much as we know like the warts in Max Domi's game, his defensively at least, and like Nick Robertson's not in the lineup. We know what Max Pacioretty can potentially bring, but this is also a guy that missed the last stretch of the season.
I
I believe
thought
it was 25 games
Yeah, I
through
thought he
injury.
brought basically like as much as you can expect, like in the games he's played now, right? Like I
Yes,
don't think you
100%.
can expect offense from him. Like you're just gonna want a guy to finish his checks, and that'll be the difference between him and Nick Robertson. It's kind of it, but I don't think they have a great solution there, unless it's Kampf back in for Pacioretty, and maybe you put McMahon back on the second line. You move Pontus down, but then like where the hell are you gonna play Domi with Kampf and Pontus? Like
Yeah, it's not
there's
great.
always gonna be a sore thumb sticking out here. It's like that's the weak spot. That is definitely it. But I mean, you mentioned it. Like even in that overtime, before Domi scores the goal, like you have to have some confidence in them. You have to have to avoid like the team A, team B stuff, which they've done a really good job at in this playoff series. You have to make sure that every guy feels like they have a role, and I think they've done as good of a job as they can with that line. Like they are kicking and screaming as they put them out there, but they were out for a defensive zone draw in game 2 in overtime, and they made Berube look really smart, right?
100%.
Yeah, you're always gonna have the turnovers with Domi, and it's like you said, like he's gonna probably have a couple more bad games here, but takes one play, and all of a sudden you're fine with the warts, right? So that's kind of what you need out of Domi. I just want to make one last point about Willie here, his time on ice compared to last year in the playoffs. I just pulled it up here. So playoffs last year, was playing 21-44 a night in those 4 games against the Bruins. This year in 4 games, 1857. So
yeah, I mean, and a lot of those games, some of them without Marner, some of them without Matthew, sometimes without both of them in the lineup, right? So it's like,
sure,
obviously the ice time is going to have to kind of get split up over there because of that. But you're right.
He's been deployed differently by Willie than he has been by Keefe. Like
yeah,
and even then though, like it's a bit of cherry picked stat because if you look at just the forward time on ice in this whole series, like
nobody's really going over 20.
The only guys is the first line, and a lot of that comes down like there's been some overtime, and there was also like Nyes. Definitely Matthews and Margaret play PK more than Nyes, but like they all get the special teams time on both ends, right? So that's how you end up with that. One more thing here about Matthews and Marner that I just got to defend them here again. What would you say, like, so in game 4, like the Leafs score, who scores the goals here? You have...
Well, OEL had the tire. Matthew Nyes
has
had
the tire.
The breakaway.
Yeah, and then what's our third goal here that I'm already... JT.
Yeah.
It's okay, so, of those 3 goals, what is the most individualistic goal that was scored?
Probably the breakaway, no?
Yeah, so Matthew Nyes there. You look at that play, if you watch it back, it's an Ottawa point shot that is blocked by Austin Matthews, and then Marner comes back, beats the guy to the slot, the center's guy to the slot to get the puck and get it up to Matthew Nyes. Like, even on the most individualistic goal, which, holy shit, like that goal was great. That goal was awesome. My God, like that.
You have the fingerprints really from the other guys, right?
Yes, that was and it looks the least like it, but that was a full line play there. That goal, that Nyes goal, nostalgia and PTSD at the same time. It brought me back to the Kasperi Kapanen game tying goal against the Bruins in 2018. Yeah, that's what that reminded me of. Kapanen going in shorthanded on Tuukka Rask and going a roof and feeling like, oh my God, we're going into the third with a lead. Yeah. Didn't end well, but nostalgia and PTSD at the same time. Let's wrap up with like thoughts for game 5 here. Like, what are you expecting?
Win. That's it. Listen, there's a lot of positives to take away from. I thought the Leafs did play better for stretches. Like, I always see like the shot count between the two teams. I don't think the Sens have played.
The team that's trailed on the shot clock has won every game.
Yes, 100%. So listen. I'm pretty confident that the Leafs are going to go back and play the game that they have been playing, and that should at least keep it close and give them a chance to win. I just hope that they can kind of pull through here, honestly. What about you?
I'm feeling confident. I feel like we've seen the same game from the Leafs 4 times over. Really, the first period and last game might be the least confident I felt in them because there was almost too much comfort playing in their own zone. And Like, you need to be comfortable playing in your own zone. How many times when the Sens get possession, like long possessions in our zone, do you really feel like it's a fire drill? Not really. Like,
Not
they can
often.
be in the zone for a minute, and I'm still feeling okay. Like, I'm not feeling like, oh my God, here it comes, or we're about to take a poundy. Not too often. So I just need to see more of that. I just need to see them stick with it. I started the series off saying, let's have a business like series, and I think it's been as close to that as it can possibly be for the Leafs. That changes with a loss in Game 5. Like, we are then back in just like full
Demon
spiral
mode.
as a fan base. So
Yeah.
um, it's the calm before the storm potentially. Hopefully, there's no storm. But I feel good about Game 5.
So on that note, we'll go from the Battle of Ontario. I think we go down south to the Battle of Florida. That's now a 2-1 Florida Panthers lead. Game 4, Tampa's without Brendan Hagel after his dangerous, reckless hit, I would say, on Alex Barkov. Gets 1 game for that, so 1 game, maybe you can extrapolate, that'd be like a 2-game regular season suspension. I wasn't too
Some
surprised.
Yoff's math.
Yeah, some
No,
Yoff's math there.
no, I wasn't
Game
surprised.
4, we saw Matthew Tkachuk lay out Jake Gensel open ice without the puck. I believe that would have been on the empty net goal to make it 5-1.
Yep.
And
Yep.
he receives no supplemental discipline for that. I think now this is mind games mode between the two biggest mind game headed coaches in the league, right? We got John
Talk about
Kruger.
Berube no quotes. Nah, these guys are nothing but quotes.
This is all quote season there.
There's no filler when these guys speak.
Yeah, I mean, how surprised are you with how the series has gone so far?
Well, after Game 3, I think I feel a lot better as someone who picked Tampa in 7. Through those first 2 games, like, that was just masterclass from Panthers. They put aside all of the question marks. They won in 2 completely different ways, kind of, right? Like, you have the dominant Game 1 and then the shutdown Game 2. You really can't complain. Game 3 though, yeah, it was all Panther. I mean, it was all Tampa after the Panthers scored the opening goal. It's Kachuk on the doorstep. I was actually on that goal there. Like, Vasi kind of like just he gives up on the play. It's a really weird one. I was worried that we were going to get more of the same in Game 3, but yeah, I think the story coming out of Game 3 for me is the guy that I was paying the most attention to coming into the series, Jake Ensel. Like, and you talked about how he gets hit by Kachuk there at the end, but dominant game, 2 goals and the assist on the empty netter. And then, yeah, at the end there, Kachuk, it's 100% interference. But as much as I hate to say it, like, I don't know how many Matthew Tkachuk fans are out there outside of Florida, but that's, you can't give him more to me than a minor. Like, it was interference, nothing more.
That's a
puck watching, like he's watching his.
That's
yeah, like no supplemental discipline. There shouldn't have been. There isn't going to be. I'm not losing sleep over that one at all. But I think Tampa's back in it, man. I like I said, I think Gensel, like, that guy struck fear into my heart in 4 Nations. He's done it in the playoffs over and over again. He's doing it again right now. Like, I do think, and Kucherov stepped up big time in that game as well. The play he made, I think it was on the first Gensel goal, just absolutely eviscerating 2 Tampa defenders on his way to making the pass to the slot. I think it's still a series for the long haul. I still think it goes to the distance.
I think if any player on Tampa needs to strike fear for to the Florida Panthers, it's got to be Andrei Vasilevsky. I came on here and I said how poor he was in his last 2 playoff runs, right? Once against the Leafs, once against the Panthers last year. And to start off this series, it was a lot more of the same. Game 3, though, for him, he looks like he started to get it back on track to the level that he should be playing at, I would say. And he outbattled Bob. Like you said, on that first goal where it was like, with Vasi especially, he kind of gives up on it and you're like, oh no, not again. Like, if they go down 3-0 here, that could be the death nail for them. And I'll give him all the credit in the world for kind of battling back and showing us how Like that's a former back-to-back Stanley Cup champ, former Vezina winner. Listen, if he strikes fear in the Panthers' hearts, that will definitely extend this. I'm praying for 7. I said it before. I'm just praying for 7. Give me, if that's what it takes. If it's Andrei Vasilevsky rounding back into form, give me 7. The other person that has really struck fear in a lot of people's hearts is Matthew Tkachuk.
Nate Schmidt. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, Nate Schmidt.
Yeah.
Nate Schmidt, 3 goals, 3 games. Look at this guy. Who is he? Bobby Orr? No, but yeah, Matthew Tkachuk has been nothing short of what we expected, basically, right? There was a lot of question marks.
This is exactly, like, you can say the same things about the whole team and about Matthew Tkachuk at the start of the playoffs, right? Like, oh, I don't know what we're going to see out of them. Are they fully healthy? They haven't looked great lately. We saw nothing of Matthew Tkachuk. Like, he is the physical embodiment of the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
And he's been the guy. He's been the guy.
My other last little point, though, is so in Game 3, Aaron Ekblad came back from his 20-game PD suspension. He was a minus 4 on the night. Him and Gus Forsling. So they're your 2 most important defensemen, I would say, minus 4 on the night. I wouldn't expect that to continue for the rest of the series, but it wasn't a great showing for Aaron, especially coming back. And, you're paired alongside probably one of the best defensemen in the league right now. Like, Gus Forsling has been amazing all year. And that's a real tough way to enter the series. You're getting thrown into the fire. I completely get it. But they need to be better if Florida wants to close out the Tampa Bay Lightning. So Game 4, though, going tonight. It's Monday, 7:30 start. 7:00 start. My mistake. What do you expect for us to see tonight?
It's tough to expect the road team to win the 4th straight game in a series. Like, that just feels like the streak's got to end at some point. I'm going to stick to what I've been saying. Like, I think Tampa, they really showed life last game. I think this still goes to 7, and for it to get there, you're probably going to see a 2-2 series on the way.
Okay.
I do feel good about Tampa, and you talked about it, like the Gus Forsling. My marquee matchup was Gus Forsling versus Ryan McDonagh. Ryan McDonagh has now gone on the score sheet as well. He's got 3 assists. Mm-hmm. So I think they're rounding into form. I think be too naive of me to count Tampa out and to see. I really feel like this one has Game 7 written all over it. I'm going to stick to that.
I 100% agree. And if we do get a 2-2 tonight, I think that is almost a certainty, basically. Like, I don't want to discount. I don't want to count out Florida right now, but I'm gonna go based on short-term memory. It's very tough to you have a whole sample size, but yeah, just based on what I saw from that last game, I think it's very hard to discount Tampa right now. I'm kind of hoping we see this game tonight at least go to OT. I think that would be quite a treat to see, just to see that. I love OT hockey, and I think OT hockey with these 2 teams in particular will be like fireworks on the ice, and I just can't wait to hear what either coach has to say after that potential setup. So yeah, we'll see.
Last thing I want to throw here: Panthers PK 92.3%. So
wow, that is pretty wild.
That could be a deciding factor here. And you talked about the game tightens up in the back half of the series. Is this a good thing for Tampa that, if there's less penalties, that means that we can't be shut down? Or is it, damn, every penalty becomes even more crucial to get a power play goal on, right? There's the 2 ways to kind of look at it.
Well, yeah, it's a different story when, at the beginning of the series, it's if you're giving up 4 of them, right? It's, I guess it makes more sense. You have to kill off a lot more, in terms, for Florida. But then, once it gets to 1 a game, it's very easy to kill off only 1 when you're playing the rest of the game 5-on-5. I guess maybe that's the point there. Okay, let's jump to the Metro now. I've got Carolina, Jersey. That's 3-1 for the Hurricanes, the Devils. They're down to 4D men now, basically, right? 3-1 for the Canes. The Devils, they'll strike first, and then they'll just lose it. They'll implode at the sight of the hat. I think I said it in our playoff preview. They're toothless, man. I'm very surprised that they even clawed out a game, if I'm going to be completely honest here.
I think that's fair. And so they're toothless, but are they toothless like a baby that hasn't grown their teeth yet, or are they toothless in the sense that the dentist has come and ripped out half
All
of their
the teeth,
right?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of
that's
how it
definitely
is
a
right
point
now.
for sure.
Yeah. But no, I think to what you're saying, kind of lucky to have just gotten one. We got some double overtime action in this series, but I think last game has really been part of the story here. You lose Freddie Anderson, now you have Kochetkov come in, and it's Timo Meier who takes Freddie out of the game and then scores. Kochetkov's playoff save percentage is not the greatest. I can say like clear advantage to the Devils in at least one aspect of the series. It's goaltending. Like even if it's not Markstrom, like Jake Allen, like I said, the numbers are really good, and the Kochetkov numbers have not been good. I talked another marquee matchup, Timo Meier versus Svechnikov.
Oh yeah,
both guys prominence in that game.
And one guy is kind of taking the lead in terms of who's going to be the biggest X factor for their team, and Svech kind of put the Canes on his back in game that was game 4.
Yeah, I think they mentioned on the broadcast that there was before last night. There's only been one hat trick in playoff history for the Hurricanes.
So
Svechnikov. Mm-hmm. So he's got the only 2 playoff hatties in team history.
Kind of wild because that's a team that employed Ron Francis and Gordie Howe for a short time as
had
well.
a Stanley Cup run.
Yeah.
So shout out to Svech. There's been all this weird contract stuff with Nikishin. So I talked a lot of hype about all the prospects early, and they haven't across the board been too impactful like I would have thought. Nikishin can't really impact the game if he hasn't been signed, and finally is now. I don't know.
Literally can't play. Yeah, wasn't able to play for the most part.
We'll see what happens there, but I mean, this is definitely the series that's been the most status quo. Like what you expected has kind of bore out what's happened. And I think if you're the Hurricanes too, like the Kochetkov question marks, you'd be crazy to not think that even if they won this series and 4 clean and Freddie was still healthy, that Kochetkov wasn't getting in the net at some point. Like Freddie just does not have the playoff resume to show us that he can be a starter for 16 plus games on a long run. So Kochetkov, I think, was getting in the net one way or another in the run. So why not earlier for the Hurricanes?
Yeah, for Kochetkov, 14 for 15 after he came in. It was very honestly kind of status quo for him. I think that's all they need. He needs to give them 900, and I think they'll close this series out tomorrow on Tuesday in 5. Personally, unless we get a bit of a wrench in the plans, and he doesn't, right? But that one, I'll be honest. I think of all the series that we have to talk about, I think that one is almost all wrapped up, even though it really isn't right now. And I'm sorry
Devils fans.
Sorry to do that to you Devils fans, but
sorry, Keith.
We quite literally got a picture after game 1 when Brendan Dillon and Luke Hughes left, and it looked like they were being escorted off the battlefield. And somebody put a picture of them dude, I think it was the Somme or something like that, something from World War I. It was them kind of being carried off the ice. And that just kind of seems like how the entire season has gone for Devils fans. It's just recurring PTSD, honestly. Sorry to say, guys, but I think your time is honestly up as we now jump over to a series that's kind of got I wouldn't even say new life, but maybe I've got a newfound respect for the Montreal Canadiens, even though that they are down 3-1 to their series against Washington. They battle really hard. As hard as a wild card team has battled in a while, even though that they're down 3-1. There's a lot of good things, I think, to like for the Habs and for the future. I just don't know if this is the year where you already made your steps forward by just getting to this moment. And it's nice to see the battle, but I think for them, you have to start looking forward to the future, even though the series isn't done yet. There are a lot of things to like. Ivan Demidov, like you said before, about all the prospects that have kind of been, a bit status quo. I think Ivan Demidov has objectively been the best of the bunch. And that's not saying a lot because the other guys just, they haven't really done too much. But I think
they haven't had their fingerprints.
Yeah, he had his fingerprints all over game 4. He had 2 assists. On the 2 goals that the Habs scored, they ended up losing 5-2. I think, that's got to be worth something. Lane Hudson.
He also had a nice. Lane's been great. Like I think they talked about this is like rarefied air to be involved with 6. I think it's 6 assists that he has now in this series.
I believe so. Yeah, I'll check that up for you quick.
Anyways, it was basically just how many assists he has as a rookie in his first series as a Montreal Canadian. And
5 assists.
5 assists. So the only other guys to have 5 assists in their first playoff series as a Montreal Canadian, Jean Beliveau. Pretty good. Guy Lafleur.
I was gonna make a joke. Yeah. Who? No, but yeah. Yeah.
Guy Lafleur. Thomas Plekanec, baby.
Wow.
Let's go.
Holy.
Former Leaf. And
the Legends Row for Habs fans. It's the 3 guys plus potentially this 4th name in Lane Hudson.
Yes. On the Demidov point, he had a nice sneaky little slew foot on Tom Wilson at a point too. I can't remember one in the game, but they showed the replay, and I was like, okay, Demidov, all right, you're getting the hang of this. You've been getting some pointers from Josh Anderson and Brendan Gallagher. I see you.
Listen, if anybody is going to turn I think Tom Wilson could turn the most kind-hearted player into just a dirty goon with just some of his antics, right?
I cannot remember good old Justin of Second Look Sports what his opinion was on Tom Wilson entering the series. We should have got this. We should have figured out what this was. I have a feeling it's not going to be the same when this is done. Producer Random, maybe give him an ask next episode, but
we know what Tom Wilson's about. It's reminiscent of other players that the Leafs have had to come into contact with.
Yeah,
we've also seen playoff Tom Wilson as well, but I think that was maybe we didn't get like the fullest extent, I would say, at that time.
It's funny you bring that up though, because I was going to draw like some parallels to that series, like. You think about it, this kind of feels the same. Like that was a total gravy series for the Leafs, right?
Yeah.
We at one point had a 2-1 series lead in that, right? Remember that? That was
I know. Watch that one disappear
crazy,
quickly,
man. Yes, but that we felt on top of the world, and I think a lot of Habs fans felt on top of the world after the last game. It's a really good feeling. Maybe a little bit sobered, but even then, you played such a good game 4 if you're Montreal, you are very much in this series as much as it's 3-1. It's been a very entertaining series to watch. Obviously, the Anderson and Wilson stuff from Game 3 in the benches was crazy. That was
throwback.
That
to
was
the 70s,
Peter, man. And the Tom Wilson memes we got out of it with the fake crying. No matter who wins this series, you will see that meme. If Caps wins, you're going to have people spamming Wilson. Oh, Caps fans crying. If the Habs win, you're getting that back in your face.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's that's multi-purpose stuff from Wilson there.
That could be potential hockey images that precede unfortunate events worthy tweet, right? So,
yes. So two things from this series, maybe even a third, but in Game 3, you have the tides turn with Strome running over Logan Thompson on Slavkovsky's goal, I believe it was.
Yeah.
In that game there, I could not believe that Logan Thompson played last game. He got absolutely run over by his own teammate.
Looked like he was. If we were going to talk about war vets here, he looked like he was. I thought he wouldn't be back until next season. He looked like, I thought he was concussed for a hot second.
Concussed, and then they pointed out the knee too.
The knee,
right?
Yeah.
Like both, like double whammy. And coming into last night's game, I'm like, dude, this guy cannot, like, he's playing, but we're gonna notice that he's not healthy. Didn't really.
No,
right?
It looked as Logan Thompson-esque as usual, right?
And on the other side, Sam Montembeault go out, and in the same game that Logan Thompson exits earlier on, but Dobish has looked apart. Like he will keep them in whatever amount of games are left in the series, I think. And like, yeah, if Thompson wasn't starting that game and it was Dobish up against Lindgren's numbers have not been good. We've gone over this. I would have given the upper hand to Dobish for sure. Still think he played pretty well. But yeah, so that was the turning point in Game 3. And now it feels like everyone's talking about the series turning point of Game 4 with the Wilson hit on Carrier. And then Washington goes and scores on that really weird bounce from Duhaime. Forget who goes off of. But just like, there's been a lot of like garbage goals in the playoffs, but that's what it's all about. But yeah, that was... I almost feel like we didn't get enough replays on that hit, but from everything I've seen, it's a colossal hit but clean.
Yeah. I saw some they probably would have been Habs fans kind of saying like he didn't have the puck near him, but I think he had just like it was like within the rule of like what is it, a couple of seconds where you get kind of like the leeway.
Yeah, and listen, it is very, very rare that, like, that 2-second rule, if you want to call it that, there's not many hits that you see, not even gets enforced, but how many times do you see someone hit a guy more than 2 seconds after they pass the puck? Like, it doesn't really happen. It's usually more like, like, it's almost always within a second. Like, it's never gets to 2 Mississippis, if you ask me. I don't think that was the case here.
It's a bang type of play, and listen, sometimes when you're crossing the neutral zone like that, you have to keep your head up, especially when you have guys like Tom Wilson there, like, you know. And then he goes back and he
lots of heads on swivels.
Yeah, he didn't. Did he end up scoring that
He got the 5-2 empty netter. He got the 5-2.
But he didn't score. He didn't score the goal because it was like that. No. That hit immediately directed into.
Duhaime scores the bounce.
Okay.
And then it's Andrew Mangiapane late.
Yeah, the bread man, the real bread man.
Bolton's very own. Close enough. Italians in Bolton too.
Yeah, they're all the same.
Yeah, I mean, that's a former 35 goal scorer with the Calgary Flames. Like it's a hell of a shot. I don't know I did see like some Habs fans saying like gotta have that as Dobish.
It's tough. That's a tough one. You know what?
Fair.
Sure.
He kept him in the game though. I'm still staying with Dobish kept him in the game. And then Mangiapane, like he's probably like the most undersung addition that the Caps made this year. Like so many big names. Matt Roy, Pierre-Luc Dubois, who not really much going on this series as far as I've seen.
They're going to need him if they get through against the Caps. They're definitely going to need him to really step up his game against and he's had like Caps team.
Canes team,
sorry.
And he's had good playoff series for more. I think he had one really good one for the Jets, and then I think he had one really not good one.
He had one really good one for the Blue Jackets all that time ago too, right? Like, but now
no idea what you're talking about, Dave.
I mean,
overtime winner, what?
That is like that's 5 years ago. Like, let's not. I don't want to bring up the past, but this is the present.
Like, if you're doing like the Caps like totem pole of like most important guys, he's not. You don't get to him that early. Right? Like, you get to him, like, maybe 7.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Sure.
Ovi, Logan Thompson, John Carlson, Jacob Chikrin, Dylan Strome, Protash if he's in the lineup. Like, it's not too pressing of an issue, but you're right. Like, next series, you need, like, the reset if they get there. So you lose Carrier if you're Montreal. He was the turning point of their season, really, getting him in the trade. And this is another team where it's like they don't play Savard too much. Jekai gets in the lineup, feels like just as a reactionary play to the Tom Wilson stuff. I don't know how great Jekai has been. Like, he's physical, but if you look on the Mangiapane goal, he totally commits to a hit instead of really looking to play the puck there. So if Carey is out in Game 5, guess who's going to be playing? Savard and Jekai. Like, that goes advantage to the Capitals. So I'm very curious to see what happens here, because I do think if Montreal can pull one out of Washington, feels like Game 7 all over it, written all over the series, to be honest, because Montreal crowd, like, best in the sport. Like, it was crazy. And I feel like the loudest chant outside of goals, obviously, but just in play in Game 4 was actually after Washington scored an empty netter. Or maybe it was after the Mangiapane goal. Like, it was a bounce back cheer from Montreal to be like, go Habs, go, like, net is empty, like, let's still try and win this, we're down 2. I know that, like, us as Leaf fans, I think if that were to happen next game, I think we would be behind the team. But, like, get to, like, a Game 6 and they'll start to trail away. So credit where credit's due. I want to see this one go, like, I wanted to see it mirror the 2011 series where Caps and the Habs went up against each other. Halak, Eastern European goalie in net. We'll see if it goes the distance, but it's been an entertaining series. I'll give it that. 2010, okay.
Quickly, though, before we hop over to the West, I know producer Mando did want to come on and give us a couple of thoughts that he had.
Let's get you in here, Mando. What do you got for us? Any series of your choosing?
Let's go, boys. Play the John Cena music for me. He's coming in hot.
Just not at this past year's WrestleMania with him.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have rather Mando than Cena there, maybe. Anyways.
That's a big compliment. I'll just a couple of just kind of roundtable notes. I think from the Leafs perspective, I just think seeing them play, I don't see them play with confidence a lot in the past. I think this year is one of the first years that every game they've played, they've brought confidence with them. And whether that's just a better back end, a better goaltending tandem, really, mainly Stolarz, or Craig Berube's system, they feel like every game they're playing, they're like, we're going to be able to win, and they come in waves. Like, that fourth line we didn't really touch on, but my God, like, those guys are making plays and they're being thrown out there. Like, Joe Bowen said it on the cast.
They're being very trusted.
They're trusted more than the third line, as you guys alluded to, and it's
they are the third line. Yeah,
they are the third line. The pseudo.
I think it was Cuthbert who mentioned, like, it's a Scotty Bowman trope. Like, I never number lines. Like, that's what it feels like, right?
It's playing out here. So it's interesting. There's like the Game 6 in 2024 against Boston last year with the Nyes play on the boards to pass it to Nylander for the second goal. Like, that game, I felt like they played with confidence to win. 2022, the first game they played Tampa when they blew them out 5-0, and we thought that they were actually going to move on. Like, those are two games that come to mind where they play with confidence. I think this year they play with a lot of confidence. I was just reading some quotes from Berube throughout this podcast here, and basically ahead of Game 5, he just said, "I expect the leadership of this team to kind of pull us through." Like, and I think that. You know, he's just trusting the main guys. They've been good. The core four, JD even said it, if you're going to be talking about the core of this team, you got to throw Nyes in there now after the way he's been playing. I think you look at those 5 guys. And at the end of the day, like, I think that second line, like you guys alluded to, with Nylander needs to step up a little. I think Tavares, Nylander, Holmberg / McMahon, depending on who they go with, I think that line needs to pull through, because we know that the top guys will be the top guys. Hopefully, like you mentioned, Dave, hopefully Marner can stick to his game and not trail off in those series clinching games. But I do think they close it out in 5. In terms of the Tampa, the only thing for the Tampa series, Tampa, Florida, I feel like they've just gypped that series. Like, they hyped it up, and by they, I mean like the NHL. They hyped it up, and rightfully so, as the Battle of Florida. Game 2 for them, they ended up throwing at the same time, essentially, as the Battle of Ontario. So you're getting a lot less viewership outside of maybe the state of Florida watching that game. And then Game 3, you're putting at 1 o'clock on a Saturday or a Sunday, right? And you're like, Saturday. So you're like, come on. Like, you can't hype this series up and then expect it to just kind of hold its own weight, especially when the road team has won every game. It's been exciting. I felt like we haven't seen as much from it as I probably would have hoped. But maybe that plays out in Game 4.
I selfishly have it's probably the series I've seen the least of, because it's gone up head to head against the Leafs I think 3 out of 4 games here,
Pretty
if I'm
much.
remembering correctly, or I guess because it starts on the Tuesday, so it was just the Tuesday and Thursday game, and then they play yesterday. I got to see most of that, but yeah, like I think you make good points. Like the schedule definitely, um, totally not in that series' favor, and it is very deserving. Maybe there's a world where so you figure if Canes close it out, like you got 3-1 series here.
Mhm.
Pray to God Tampa wins game 4, and then it might be total spotlight on that series in the back half,
Yeah,
maybe,
maybe that's what
right?
we're hoping for, the schedule makers, hoping this goes
Yeah,
long. But I think it's been mentioned a bunch of times that, and I looked it up last night, every series that Tampa and Florida has played over the past like 5 years, outside of this one, we don't know where it lands, has been done basically in like 4 or 5 games. There was one series where I think Tampa won in 6, but there's been a couple sweeps. There's been Florida in 5. Like, it hasn't really gone the distance, which has been sort of surprising. But this year is really the year where you got Stanley Cup champions in the Florida Panthers playing a Tampa Bay team that's not far off from 2. So this could go long, depending on how Tampa does here. If they can get that like pesky second road win, I think they do, and I think this does go 7, like you guys said. I don't even want to sniff the Carolina-New Jersey series. That one doesn't even deserve my attention. And no disrespect, I just think it's just like you guys
it's been
basically
status quo.
discussed it.
It's wraps.
It's been the way we're expected. Yeah, it wrap it up right now. And just in terms of Washington, Montreal, I like what Martin St. Louis has done. He's gained a lot of respect from me as a coach because obviously he comes in a few years ago. Weirdly, he's in the top 10 of like tenured coaches because I looked the same thing up, Dave, in terms of with Sullivan being fired.
It's crazy.
He's top
So
10.
is,
He's been there 3 years. Boys.
So is Paul Maurice. Paul Maurice
is nine now, but 10
now.
before. It's like, what?
Yeah, guys. Craig Berube's number 4. Actually, go check the list.
Yeah, like what? So, so with him, just in terms of like noticing that Line A isn't doing his part and taking him out, bringing in Jack Eye, and probably motivating him. Everything that's been documented with him and Cole Caulfield, and even his comments. He made the comments after the game, basically really calm and collected, but just saying like, the quote I had in front of me, but basically he's like, I'll watch my words, but like I can't watch some of these calls. Like I can't believe some. Basically, And
yes,
welcome to the playoffs.
Definitely,
buddy.
I will 100% say I forgot to mention this. By far, worst officiated series. By far.
I know. I haven't seen a lot of it, so I can't comment on it. But I've heard from a lot of fans it's been.
Put it this way too, like refs you suck chance per 60.
Oh, they lead it.
Both arenas. Like there was a ton at Capital One Arena and tons at the Bell Center. Like it did not matter which crowd was saying it. And lots of refs you suck.
Factor in the fact that there's 2 languages that you can get it in, so it's just
don't know how to say
refs
you suck in British, unfortunately.
You can get it. Exactly. So, but in terms of St. Louis, like I often you see sometimes when coaches they're timing that press conference like they know what they're doing. They're not just saying I hate it every post game. I hate the refs. A, because you're going to get fined multiple times, but B, there's a time and a place, and I wonder if it's like it's 3-1, it's desperation time. I have no choice but to address this as kind of a last-ditch effort, but I want to give him credit, and I just think that looking at Montreal and Ottawa, right? Ottawa is a little ahead, at least from the regular season perspective, in terms of like their progress, but I wonder if these 2 teams meet again. Let's say they both flame out, or let's say they're both done in 5, which personally my opinion is Ottawa and Montreal will be done in the next couple days. I'm almost more confident in Montreal's postseason efforts, let's say next year if they get back there, than I am in Ottawa. And I just think it's they've learned more from this series in Washington than Ottawa may have learned with Toronto. And I only mean that because it's felt, if I wasn't a Toronto fan, I'd almost say that the Washington-Montreal series has been more entertaining in that there's been a lot more emotion, and maybe the Bell Center is just that dialed in. It's unlike any other arena in the NHL, but you've seen like the ref issues. You've seen a lot more physicality from the Capitals than you've seen from the Leafs, and so Montreal got a wake up call really early, and they've battled back. Whereas I just haven't seen it from Ottawa as much. They've played well 5-on-5. I just haven't seen like as much like we're taking the series back as I have more faith in Montreal moving
It's been a lot
forward.
more counter punch in that series, right? Like it feels like the Leafs Sens, right? Like the Leafs Sens has been very like I'll give the Sens credit too. They don't get too far away from their game. Like even when they're putting 4 shots on net between 2 periods, like their style of playing, their game plan still looks the same, and it almost feels like a bit of a ripoff of the Leafs, and the Leafs just do it better than them, right? Where it feels like, honestly, at the same, like I made this point like in the preview, I feel like I look at the Caps and Habs roster, especially at forward, they're both very balanced. Like they both are just kind of, they have designated roles for every player. And so they feel like they should like compare easily, but it's been a lot more of like the highs and lows. Like there's been tons of highs and lows in that series.
Yeah, there has been. So I just wonder how this plays out for both teams in the postseason down the line, because I think both are poised for success in the long haul. But obviously looking at these playoffs, I do think that both are done early. I think that the Devils might get one quickly with Carolina. I think it might be a Jacob Markstrom game where he just closes the door. But sure. I do think it's over in 6, and I think the other 2 are done. Tuesday night / I think they both play Tuesday night, so I think they close it out in the next couple. But on to the West here, boys. Let's see what you got here. I'm excited to hear.
Yes, sir. Check in with you after these series.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's kick off the Western Conference playoff bracket with, I'd say the one that maybe we were most excited for in Colorado and Dallas. And I don't think it's I don't think it's disappointed. I think it's been back and forth all series. I thought after game 1, I was getting a little bit concerned where it was like, maybe the Avs are going to run away with this, especially with everything that we laid out at Dallas's feet beforehand. But you know what? The Dallas Stars, they are here to play. But it also looks like the Colorado Avalanche are also here to play as well. The first and foremost, Gabriel Landeskog returning. Was it game 3 that he returned, but scored in game 4, his first goal since June 20th of 2022. That would have been in the Stanley Cup Finals of 2022. Jubilation for him, jubilation for Avs fans. Cristian, what do you have anything that you've noticed so far in this series?
I saw a lot more, or I'll just say I didn't get to see too much of Game 4 because it went up against, I believe, the Leaf game at least like same night. So just got to watch like the condensed highlight pack for that one. But I think you said it's been like as labeled when we came into it. Outside of like the Stars, the injuries we talked about them. I mentioned like I think that they get the biggest playoff boost that I like notice. I just visibly notice that they are so dialed in come playoff time, the Dallas Stars. And that's not to say they aren't a fantastic team in the regular season. They are. For whatever reason, it's just visible more when I watch the Stars than any other team. And it's been that way even going back before Peter DeBoer. Like you go back to that bubble Stanley Cup team with Rick Bowness, right? That was talk about like punching above their weight. That's when this run really started. Like in terms of my expectations, it's gone as expected in that sense. The Gabe Landeskog story just keeps on giving. I thought he played really well in Game 3 too, like in his debut game. Just notice him a lot. He runs over Mikko Rantanen on his very first shift, which was great. He looks the part. He looks the part, and I don't know how many of us really deep down expected it this soon. And he's not being eased in. This is the freaking Stanley Cup playoffs. And man, like you said, the series has not disappointed. Mackenzie Blackwood's been by goals saved above expected. He is leading the playoffs at 6.7. Second is Freddie Anderson at 4.8. So by a margin.
First career playoff
phenomenal
shutout for Mackenzie Blackwood in his 4th NHL playoff game, right?
Not bad. I said that he just has to tread water because Georgiev sank last year. He's like built a mountain, right?
He's done extremely well so far.
And I can't say I expected that. I did not expect him to outduel Ottinger like this badly. How about you? What have you seen?
No, I mean, a lot of the same things. I do want to see guys like on the star side, guys like Wyatt Johnston maybe take a step up. I think they really need him to start breaking out a little bit more. -3 that game against the 4-0 shutout game, didn't have the greatest game. Thomas Harley's was somebody that I pegged to be like to carry a lot of the load. I thought he's been fine, but it's also very tough on a guy that's 23 years old, right?
Yeah, stepping in for Miro Heiskanen. He leads the team right now in points. He's the only guy with 3 points, goal and 2 assists. He had the giveaway in last game on the Logan O'Connor shorty. So yeah.
I think it really is. It's just a lot for him. He's done enough. I think he's treaded water enough. You've said leading the team with 3 points. I think, maybe you want a little bit more of an offensive spark, but if you can maybe just contain Colorado, I think defense might be Dallas's best offense to at least stymie Colorado and then maybe chip in with a couple goals to kind of get by. I think that might just have to be the way that they get by this current Colorado Avalanche team. Nate Mack, he scored in Game 4, but he looks so threatening every single time he has the puck. But sometimes I just wish he would shoot a little bit more often, personally. He always tries to kind of look off a shot to look off for a better option. I think he just,
tell you what, Nate, there is no one to look to other than the mirror.
I know, and here's the thing.
Maybe Kilmakar, but
the guy has 4 goals too. But I think with his talents, he could have.
It's
7.
a compliment, yeah.
So listen, and he had 6 shots. In that, he had 4 shots. What's his name? Arturi Lehkonen had 6 shots. That's what I was looking at. Nimak had 4 shots with 1 goal. It's fine, but I think Nate Mack can still hit another level. Like that's the point that I'm trying to get at. So maybe I do want to just see a little bit more from him. Other than that, I think these are 2 relatively evenly matched teams, and I'm not surprised that we have hit a deadlock through the midway point of this series. And I'm also
not surprised at all.
Love Game 7s unless that they involve the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I'm again hoping this one kind of goes the distance as well. I love playoff hockey, and these are 2 just fantastic teams. Maybe we'll get to see
Thomas Harley. I do hope we see Game 7 here. I don't know if Thomas Harley's going to have any stamina left for Game 7. Do you know how much time on ice per game he's at?
Per game, I'm going to say like 26.
We've had 2 overtimes, so there is that caveat. But we had one end late, and we had one end in the first 5 minutes. So listen, they're still skewed. He's played 29 minutes per game.
My God,
that's his average. That's
It's a quick way to burn out a guy.
Second is Esa Lindell at 24:57. So 5 more minutes. Than his next teammate.
I mean, listen, Cody Ceci did play over 20 minutes in that game. I'm trying to look.
He's number 3. 22:40 for Cody.
Ilya Lyubushkin at 17:05.
Yeah, so the forward with the most time on ice through 4 games is Mikko Rantanen. 20:42 a night for Mikko.
Yeah,
so
if we're going to talk about players that definitely need to maybe step it up a little bit more, he's probably going to be number 1 on that list for the Stars for me to provide a little bit more offense for them going forward. Do you want to jump ahead? Do you have any other thoughts?
Let's do it. No, I'm good.
Where do you want to go next, Christian? I feel like I've kind of been picking all the teams. Do you have a preference?
Let's talk about everyone's favorite goaltender. And I'm not going to say who it is because you could choose. Winnipeg and St. Louis.
Wow. Well. If the Connor Hellebuck hasn't Connor Hellebucked just yet.
Okay, I want to jump in and already. So I watched the 2 highlight packs for the past 2 games here because once again, some of these games legitimately cannot watch. But that one I was at work. This past Game 4, So I watched these two games, and you have a 7-2 loss and a 5-1 loss for the Winnipeg Jets, and Connor Hellebuyck, he gets pulled back-to-back third periods. He's not been good, but neither has the Winnipeg defense. Like, I'm not going to say that Connor Hellebuyck's getting a bad rap here because he needs to be a Vezina-level goaltender, not just in the regular season, but I'm not seeing, like, just playoff level defending from from the Jets.
Yeah, listen, it's one thing to be a Vezina winning goaltender, and it's another thing to have your goaltender play like a freaking superhero, basically, right? Like that is kind of what they've been asking for him to do, because like you said, like the defensive side of Winnipeg's game just really has not been there. But I think this has been one of the most entertaining series for me. If you love just meat on meat action, just guys running into each other, I call this series the Monster Truck Derby, because it is quite literally gravedigger on gravedigger violence between the two teams. They are running
I couldn't name you another monster truck other than Gravedigger.
There was a Canadian guy. It was a Canadian Nightmare, I think, maybe.
It's good pull.
Yeah. I've been to one. But you're right. I think to an extent where it just kind of feels like Winnipeg is just so concerned about taking the body that they kind of just leave the puck. They're just running.
Seems important, brother.
Yeah, like listen, they aren't really playing the defense, especially, just hasn't been playing hockey as much as they've been playing mixed martial arts to an extent, right? That is something for Game 5 that they desperately, Scott Arniel needs to get in there and kind of nail down. They need a tight game as desperately as anybody. They need a 2-1 win. Play strong in front of Connor and let him do the rest of the work. You guys are taxing him way too much. And I know I've been harsh on Connor Hellebuyck in the past. I don't dislike the guy. You guys have just been giving him way too much to do. Like, I don't know. It is very tough. It's a tough call.
I'm trying to remember when we did our quote of the year. I should remember this because it was my quote of the year. When Elliot said they need some. I don't even remember the line now. Something beef, right?
Yeah, that was a good one too, because it won our.
Mobile beef.
Mobile beef.
Okay, I'm pretty sure he was talking about Winnipeg in that clip. Like that's kind of what it feels like they're missing, right? It's some mobile beef here. Like Josh Morrissey's, he's their number one defenseman, and he looks the part. Okay, Dylan Sandberg is maybe already starting to punch above his weight. Like, I know he's had a really good year, and he stepped into like the shutdown role really nicely. You need like a buffer there, right? Because then after that, Dylan DeMello, once again, good shutdown defenseman. He is not mobile beef. He's just mobile, no beef. Okay, like in front of the net, I'm trusting him to break out the puck. I'm not trusting him to beat guys to the net fronts. And like the Blues have scored a ton of deflections or tap-ins in the past two games, an absolute ton. I want to say like half of their goals have been that. And so I think that's the biggest thing where they're losing there. And the Opionk, another guy, he plays bigger than he is, but you need to actually, to defend the net front, be physically bigger. And just Neil Pionk is not that guy.
Like, listen, you talk
they're missing
about...
Brendan Dillon is what they're missing.
Sorry, you talk about deflections and stuff, like no goaltender in the world is saving. If you, like a lot of those deflections, like those are tough ones to save. You could maybe pull a couple of them out, but you're not saving every single one. So you need your defense to kind of, to help out the goaltender.
Don't let a guy get a stick on the deflection. The Parayko goal, Parayko flutter like knuckle puck, like just an R.A. Dickey knuckle puck. And Jake Neighbors just gets a tip on it. I think it was the first goal of the game. Last game.
They scored 5 unanswered.
No stopping that. The other thing, marquee matchup here was Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele versus Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou. I guess maybe you call it a saw-off, and that leads me to the second tier. And that's where St. Louis has absolutely been destroying. Like Pavel Buchnevich, hat trick. Jake Neighbors, I think, has 5 points in 4 games. Cam Fowler, 8 points.
Yeah.
He's up there on the leaderboards for just points in terms of anybody right now, okay? And I looked at his playoff resume. I did not realize he is a playoff performer. That might be it really might be the most underrated move of the year. He had, I think, 36 points in 50-something games since the trade in the regular season, and he's even elevated more. He has been absolute difference maker, and I don't know how many people, like, if I just showed you Morgan Rielly or Cam Fowler, choose one defenseman on your team, I think we're going Morgan Rielly. Like, and you're looking now, Cam Fowler is he's just been insane for them. He's been really, really damn good, and I don't know how many people expected that.
100%. Yeah, I mean, listen, the lights are starting to get bright in Winnipeg. I want to say, hey guys, pump your brakes on the Winnipeg hype train. The St. Louis Blues are not the team that they wanted to face personally, heading into the first round.
You were on this. Well, did you have Blues in 6 or 7?
I had Blues in 7. I still think I'm pretty confident in that, but the next game will be as important, because I think if St. Louis takes a 3-2 lead, I don't know if they even relinquish another game, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, with the way that they've been playing over the last 2. So Winnipeg,
they've looked phenomenal.
They desperately need a tight game in game 5.
We played the blame game on the preview.
We did.
And talked about consequences. The stakes are not higher for any other team, especially like if the Blues win. I'm gonna retract my statement. Okay.
Not higher for any team in the West.
In the West. Let's just say the Blues do this year. If you're a Jets fan, like, we talked about the attendance issues, not this past year, 2 years ago, coming off a disappointing round 1. Where do you go from here if you're a Jets fan? Like, where do you go?
How do you sell this core to that fan base?
Don't know. Do not know. So yeah, it's
they're talented. They're as talented as, I mean, and the proof is in the pudding. They are President's Trophy winning team, but yeah, this core looks to be as fragile as they come, though. That's might be the problem.
If you're asking me, my prediction was Jets in 6. Do not feel confidence in it at all. Do not. Yeah.
Oh well. That game gets game 5. That is Wednesday. We have to wait for game 5 now. They have a couple of days off between their 2. Let's jump to maybe one of the surprises for me of the playoffs, the Vegas and Minnesota Wild. Minnesota has been taking it to Vegas for stretches of this series. Matthew Boldy, Kirill Kaprizov are on absolute fire. And maybe that should be... They both have 4 goals apiece. Maybe we should have seen it coming, especially with, Kaprizov was getting Hart nominations in November before he went down with injury. And they look like a completely different team. This looks like a team that is finally has 2 of their best players in Kirill Kaprizov, Joel Eriksson Ek. Both of those guys missed lengthy bouts this year with injury. And they also have, the guy that's kind of carried them there in Philip Gustafsson. He has been awesome, I would say. I wouldn't go as far to say he's been otherworldly, but he has been exactly what the Wild need to at least give them a shred of hope in the series. On the flip side, somebody like Jack Eichel, I want to see a lot more from him. I believe he just had his first, his first point in the series.
I think you're right. I'll get you here. He's got no points still.
No points. So yeah, that is somebody that I think...
Oh, actually, no. He's got 1. Sorry, he does have 1.
And it was in game 4. Or was that game 3?
I think so.
I don't even know.
Whatever. I'll tell you this. He's a -7.
Yeah,
That
not
is
not a great start.
worst on the team.
And you know what? And that's somebody who a couple of years ago we were praising at how he elevated his
Could have
game.
won the Conn Smythe.
Yeah, that was we quite literally had just said that like last week in our playoff primers, right?
Yep.
He's got to really step up here if they want to go on a run. I still think he can. There's still time. The series is knotted at 2. There's 3 more games for Jack Eichel to impress. He hasn't so far. Do you have any thoughts on this series? I know this is a real tough one because the first game of the series quite literally started at 11 p.m. Eastern time. That was a tough one to stay up for. I was really curious to see how my potential cup picks would be doing, and I was happy that first game. I haven't really had much to cheer about since for them.
Yeah, color me surprised, man. And maybe we should have given them more credit. We had a whole spiel about the Minnesota Wild. I absolutely sewered John Hines. But yeah, I think someone threw out there coming into game 1. They only played 3 games at full health in the regular season. Crazy.
That'll do it to you.
Crazy. Marcus Foligno also has 3 goals. So between those 3, I believe they have 11 of the team's 14 or 15 goals in this series. So yeah, like the stars have shone, and not that Marcus Foligno's a star, but Boldy and Kaprizov for the most part. I almost think that for me, part of why I wrote them off, and wrongly so, was that I talked about it, like so much dead cap space wrapped up in Suter and Parise that in my head I'm almost like it's not possible for a team to win playoff series when that's the case, and they're totally defying that. Like to me, it was like they're not at the peak of their window yet, and then you think to yourself, so many teams don't win at the peak of their window. The Washington Capitals did not win at the peak of their window. The St. Louis Blues were last on January 1st and made that a Stanley Cup victory. Like, you really do not have to be in the season of all seasons, cough, cough, Winnipeg Jets, to make a run. And yeah, like you talked about the goaltending, I went to bat for Adin Hill when I kind of said that it was a bit of a saw-off for me between Gustafsson and Adin Hill. It's not been the case. Not been the case at all. I can't not think that Minnesota's been the better team through 4 games. They were that close to having their first 3-1 series lead in franchise history, which is crazy to say.
That is crazy. As crazy of a stat that we've had on this podcast.
Yeah. Zeev Buium got his first point as well. Seen a little bit of him on the power play. Think that maybe there could be a moment for him. He's getting 13 minutes and 36 seconds of ice time through 4 games on average. It's been a better series than I think any of us would have expected. And yeah, I think the difference is like Kaprizov and Boldy versus Mark Stone, Jack Eichel. Mark Stone's first goal in this series is literally off of like just a mass of humans in front of the net. Like it's just Hurdle and Hartman tied up in front of the net. And Stone says, I'll just throw it there and it'll probably go in. And it did. So
yeah.
Did not expect this at all.
On Vegas' side, they definitely need their top guys to step it up. And in goal, I know, yeah, we were definitely singing this is not to discredit Philip Gustafsson. He was quite literally one of the main reasons why they are in the playoffs today, because if any other team loses a guy of like Kaprizov's caliber and also Joel Eriksson X caliber as well, they probably sink a lot quicker than the Minnesota Wild did, right? Like they kind of just had to hold steady. They sunk, but they didn't sink enough. And now they're here and they're back. And a lot of that is in part of Philip Gustafsson. Now on the flip side, Adin Hill has been here before. He's had these experiences before, but he has not looked at the level of what we have seen from him in the past. But that can all change, right? Who knows?
This is going to be a tangent here, but I think this is really just work with me on this one, Dave. Work with me here. Okay. If the Vegas Golden Knights were to retire some numbers. If they were like, yeah, you have to retire 3 players' numbers. Is Marc-Andre Fleury one of those guys? Like, would he get his number retired by the Vegas Golden Knights? Right, like the expansion goaltender, the face of the franchise. Obviously, you have things
that is a tough one.
Anyways, where I'm going with this is like you have the Alan Walsh, like the infamous tweet of
stabbing Marc-Andre Fleury through the back.
You have that, but I have to think that like Vegas fans still are very, very fond of Marc-Andre Fleury. Like I'd be very surprised if they're not. How sick would it be to get a Marc-Andre Fleury appearance in this series, though? Like I know we're talking about Gustafsson and how good he's been, but to have Marc-Andre Fleury get into this series at some point in some capacity.
I'll be honest. I think the only way for that to happen is if Gustafsson goes down with injury, right?
Yeah.
I listen. I don't want.
I want to see Marc-Andre Fleury turn heel on the Vegas Golden Knights fans. Is what I'm.
Yeah. So Marc-Andre Fleury is now the one doing the stabbing in the back, but it's to the entire.
Yeah, I want to see an Alan Walsh tweet. With like it's like him as a zombie with the sword like out of his chest or something. In like the forest, Minnesota Wild. I don't.
Anyways, that would be quite the ending to that series.
As you were waxing poetically about Philip Gustafsson, that's what ran through my mind.
You just went to the guy after him, the next guy up.
Anyways.
Yeah. Okay. On that note, I think we end with the freshest series in our minds. The LA Edmonton series now is knotted up. I went through a lot of emotions with that series because I was like, after 2 games, I was like, oh, LA's gonna win in 4. I thought that was
LA. You're like the quote board is going to be LA first team to win series in 2 games. Okay, right? Yeah. Saw lots of those memes in the NBA.
LA in 3, yeah. Those. And I'll be honest, a lot of that I have the point, the be all end all, the answer to why the series is now leveled at 2. Stuart Skinner is not in net anymore.
And has Jeff Skinner played outside of those 2 games? Right? No Skinners. No Skinners allowed. It's a
Skinnerless
free environment.
Yeah. And you know what, man? Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl doing Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl things again. I mentioned it to the guys beforehand. I wasn't able to stay up for anything after the first period of this game that ended 1-0, and I missed what looks to be quite a bit of action. Evan Bouchard tying the game. The Oilers are down 3-1 at home in the third period, and Evan Bouchard kind of carrying this team on his back with 2 goals in the third period to even the game and allowing Draisaitl to score in OT. That second goal I'm seeing here with under 30 seconds to go in the game. Yeah.
It's a Bouch bomb. That's what it was. I want to give some credit to Evan Bouchard, who frequently gets sewered because he's not the greatest defensively. He's not. The Oilers are not the greatest defensive team, and they don't have, like you said, a good goalie behind them for the most part. Like Calvin Pickard, it's not who you want in the playoffs. Like, it's just not. And Stuart Skinner is even less so. But this guy's offense, like what he brings to the table, and it really is not filler stuff from like assists on McDavid or Draisaitl, or it's not him putting in a backdoor, like just a tap in. You watch a lot of his goals. They're at the blue line, and they're absolute rockets on net. Like, he is so accurate with it so often. Like, and it's always he just knows how to elevate it, I think, better than any other defenseman on a slap shot. Mm-hmm. And really, there's a balance between, like, if you're someone like who's played hockey, like, it is harder to elevate the puck, especially on a slap shot, the harder you hit it. Like, it just is. It's to get more velocity behind it, you have to dig further into the ice, and that usually takes the puck down a notch or 2 in terms of height. And he just finds a way to snipe top shelf every time with the slapper. It is a thing of beauty to watch. And he did it a couple times last night. Like, he's really, really fun to watch.
They call him the Boosh Bomb for a reason. The guy has a cannon. Yeah, I mean, listen, defensively, it would just be nice if defensively he would like maybe bend his legs a little bit when he's coming back. Is that like too much to ask for? Like, listen, I get it. The offense is not like it's the bread and butter for him, but you do also need to. Your title is defenseman. I think it would be maybe a little bit more wise sometimes to help out defensively. Maybe you don't get into pickles like where you're down 3-1 at home. Potentially, like if the Oilers lose that game, I think that series is basically done and dusted. Like to that point, right? But now the Oilers have life, and it's a big part of the reason is because of him, right? But maybe you just have to take the good with the bad from him, and I think the Oilers fans are just resigned to that fact that the highs are high.
He's so lucky that he plays on the same team as Darnell Nurse.
Yeah,
because he can never be the number one scapegoat.
Yeah, 100%.
Or honestly, number two, because we talked about Stuart Skinner, so that definitely goes in his favor. But no, like Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, we're running out of things to say about them, right? Like I don't know, like
what else can you say? They are
hockey gods.
They're not from this world.
Everything, dude.
They were sent down here by some mystical force. They quite literally embody. I want to say like they look like the Monstars from Space Jam sometime, but like that's discrediting them because the Monstars lost. You know what I mean? Like they got their power sucked from them. Like they look like they could be this type of force all the time, basically. So they are a joy to watch.
I like LA's done such a good job too. At least through really in every game they've had just stretches where they look dominant, right? Mm-hmm. And starts with Adrian Kempe, who leads the playoffs in scoring right now. Just an absolute Oiler killer. And that's what you like when you're going up against the Edmonton Oilers, who have two nuclear options. You got to have some more heads of your own, right? And like Adrian Kempe, at least they're halfway there to matching the Oilers. The Trevor Moore goal, I thought honestly was going to be something that I don't know if you saw this. This was actually in the game that the Oilers end up winning. But Trevor Moore scores a goal in the third period of Game 3, one-handed. He's protecting the puck one-handed, and then he literally just like shovels it and scores on Calvin Pickard. I thought, oh my God, you can't score that goal and then proceed to lose the same game or even the same series. And here we are. It's now 2-2. The Kings are they're playing so well with the lead, or they're just playing so well to get the lead, and then once they get it,
they have a tough time holding on.
They're going back to Todd McClellan hockey, and I'm not a big Jim Hiller fan, but they got to play Jim Hiller hockey for 60 minutes if they want to win. Like the offense is there, the pushback is there. It just needs to be way more consistent. The Oilers were all over them in the third period and in overtime. It wasn't even a question.
Yeah, it's also very tough to protect the lead when on the opposite side you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Like, you know what I mean? It's very hard to rest on your laurels when those two guys are the ones that are coming after you. Maybe you can sit back with some other teams, but that team's going to take it right to you. They know what to do. I think for Game 5, for the LA Kings, they need... Do you know what they need, Christian?
They need former Leaf legend Joel Edmondson to score a hat trick. No, I'm kidding.
You know what they need? They need the harmonica class from the Koreatown Senior Community Center to show up and give them mystical powers like they have for the first two games of the series at home. That's clearly why they lost the two games in Edmonton. It's because they didn't have the harmonicas.
It's just simple science. Like I can't refute that. Who has the most mystical power? We've got to rank these three.
Okay.
Jobu, okay, for the Blues.
Okay.
Washington Capitals lineup cards or harmonicas.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
Tough one.
I'm gonna go
because they all have good juju.
They do. I'm gonna go harmonicas as my one, just because.
Yeah.
God, when they came out on screen, I've never seen a more unanimous. We feel like how crazy is it for a sport like of professional hockey for that to be the thing that like kind of galvanizes a lot of people.
I was so confused when I turned on game one, and I was just like, I think I was like making something in the kitchen, and I just heard it in the background. I'm like, what's going? Do I have the right game on? Did I turn on like the dog show when there's like harmonicas playing or something?
Yeah.
Like national anthem, and then I'm like, no, this is the game. This is the game. And then after, yeah, you're right. Like for game two, everyone was fully behind it, right? Like,
oh yeah,
I listen. Yeah, I was questioning at first. It was like, interesting here. Like, I don't know if harmonicas would have been my first choice, but like you said, fully bought in. I think, you know what? I think you do have to go harmonicas number one because the fans get to share in it too, right? Like Joe Boo does not get to the St. Louis Blues fans,
and the
a
lineup card
is
as well,
right. So I think you nailed it. It's the harmonicas, man.
Yeah, I mean, game 5 is going to be the real test. Because if I'm not mistaken, they were only supposed to do. It was like supposed to just be a one and done. If I'm not mistaken, it was like, yeah,
definitely. There's no way they planned for it. No way.
No, but not even just that. But like for the whole series, maybe they kind of gave it to them. But no, now it's like they are coming back for every single home game, and I wouldn't be surprised, going forward into next season if they make a return. Maybe this is just. Yeah, like you said, this is the galvanizing force.
I think you have to keep it as a playoff specialty. Is what I think you got to do.
Maybe they do.
That's what I think you got to do. The pop every game one of a playoffs when those guys come out.
Yeah, like put them behind like a curtain, and then like all of it, you have the big reveal.
Yes,
with them coming out and playing.
Yeah, as if no one would get, like, imagine like they go on a nice like run conference finals, and the next year they're like, stay tuned, who's it gonna be? Like as if everyone's gonna be surprised, and they come out like, oh my god!
Yeah, it's like, hey,
how same guys as
how
last
come there's
year?
how come there's a lot of like handicap parking, like like the old, how the old people have like the handicap parking stickers? How come there's a lot of cars out front of the Staples or Crypto.com arena with the thing, the parking signs on them.
Now that you brought that up, I'm going to tell a very, very, very quick story, and we'll get producer Mando in here to end the show. Speaking of like parking lots and just like being like, what's going on here? So I get to, I usually park at the subway and then subway down for Leafs talks. And so get to the subway on Thursday night. So this would have been game 3. My days are all gone. Yeah, it was game 3. Get there, parking lot's full, but it's full of a very specific type of car. Kind of car that I see all in the parking lot on Thursday night.
Why?
Like I'll give you options like did I see like SUVs, crossovers, like what type of truck did I see? Like lots of minis. A specific type of car. Tons of pickups there.
Really?
Why did I see Metallica?
Oh my god, that's right. I forgot about that. Oh, that makes
it's just like
that makes a lot of sense. I wasn't putting two together there, but I wasn't either at first, and I didn't put it together until I got on the subway after Leafs talk at like 1 a.m. And the first dude I see on the subway is the guy in the Metallica shirt. I'm like, it all makes sense now. And you know what? It makes a lot of sense that it's at that station, because that's the crossover point from like north, let's say. Right?
You cannot get more north than us in terms of subway. So I think it's fair to say there's a lot of Metallica fans that maybe live a little bit north of Vaughan. And so if they're taking the subway, that's where they're going. That's where they're going. So
yeah, dude,
I just thought that was
that is hilarious. I would not have been able to put 2 and 2 together.
So I will be paying attention to the car demographics when I go to the parking lot from now on, because I can maybe try and guess what concerts are happening based on what cars are in the lot. So, yeah. Producer Mando, feel free to jump in here, whether it's on harmonicas, lineup cards, pickup
car
trucks,
talks,
or the actual hockey, whatever you want.
Yeah, you guys are all over the map here, but I love it. I love the energy we're bringing to the pod late here. Just a couple thoughts. I'm going to limit a lot of the comments here to the LA Edmonton series, but before I do, I was going to try and find some, like, the Charlie Day and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia when he's, like, his eyes are bugged out. He's got all the points on the board and stuff.
That is the best scene in that show. That scene will never fail to make me cry with laughter. because the punchline of the joke. Do you know what the punchline is?
I haven't seen the show. I've just seen the meme. So no, enlighten me.
Okay, so Charlie Day in the show is like he's illiterate. That is part of his character. And it's part of his charm too, because the guy just can't read, and he gets like an office job, and his office job is to be like the person carrying mail to different parts of this office. But because he can't read, he reads, because they're in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He reads Pennsylvania as Pepe Sylvia, and he thinks Pepe Sylvia is this mystical person. And he's like, I went up to HR and I realized there's no Carol from HR, and it's so fun. It's joke writing at its absolute best. That is the hands down Always Sunny in Philadelphia will go down as one of the best sitcoms of all time. I absolutely love that show, and nothing embodies It's Always Sunny better than that scene itself. It's just so absurd humor, and it takes a little bit more to like get the joke, but once you get the joke,
it acquires taste.
It is. I feel so pretentious saying that, but my God, no. I love that scene so much.
I'm going to have to dial into that. And the reason I brought that scene up is I was trying to piece together is it important to limit your number one goaltender to less starts in the regular season to correlate to playoff success? And I was trying to be like, I'm going to jump in and just pull a great stat for you boys. It's not really relevant. And obviously we talk about Connor Hellebuck. We came on for the previews and said maybe we limit his time in the crease for the regular season. Maybe that's still possible. I mean, the times have changed, but I looked at the Waz, the Brodeurs, and the Haschicks of the world. The numbers are all over the map based on their Stanley Cup wins and how they played in the regular season. Like Brodeur, for 2 of his cups, played 72 and 73 games played. That doesn't happen anymore.
That is so ridiculous.
That doesn't work, but that's nuts. Vasilevsky is the most recent example of a guy back-to-back cups. He played, I think, 52 games and 42 games in the regular season. So Connor Hellebuck's played 60-plus, I think, over the past 3 or 4 seasons. Again, each team has a different identity. Each goalie has a different identity. But we're seeing maybe fatigue, and I know the Winnipeg Jets defense plays a factor, but at some point the conversation goes to, is this malpractice again for letting him play and not allowing Eric Comrie, especially down the stretch? You won the President's Trophy. Maybe we just take a step off the gas here. You're going to play either the Blues or the Wild. They ran into a hot Blues team, and maybe this doesn't happen if they're playing the Wild. Maybe it does, because like you guys said, the Wild are taking it to Vegas, but maybe that's a factor. They are surprised. I'm happy to see it because, we did roast them very, very heavily for the pre-playoffs based on the fact that we thought Vegas was going to steamroll them. I just wonder if that plays a factor next year if the Jets go down. There's a lot of questions, but does Hellebuck get some rest? And Arniel kind of steps in and says, pal, you're not running the ship, unfortunately. You're going to have to take a couple more seats. I don't know. We'll see how this plays out. But my God, I just feel bad for the LA Edmonton series. I feel so bad for the poor bastards who are writing game overs for Canadian Press and Associated Press. Because I remember we did it as a class for the Jays game or for the Raptors 905 game.
Or the Marlies.
Okay, lots of downtime in baseball games especially. But
baseball
these
games
playoff games.
Oh my God, especially that series. Because it's okay, you know what? LA's up for first game 4-0. They're up 3-0 in game 2, 2-0, and then 3-1. You're okay, I'm gonna put the pen down, or I'm gonna put my typing pad away.
Yeah. The Edmonton Oilers absolutely stink, and this and that. The Edmonton Oilers are great. They're so good.
I'd smash my laptop and I'd walk out and quit. Yeah. So it's just been what's true now is not true later. Elliot Friedman says that a lot about college hockey and maybe decisions that are made by boards. It's the same with this series. And I just want to say too, Evan Bouchard, the relationship that fans have with him is probably the most toxic relationship in the NHL. It's like that guy who's dating the girl that you're you guys either are lovey-dovey or you're fighting literally every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make up your minds here. It's the same thing with these fans. He's got 4 goals, 2 games where he scored both. 2 games where he has 2 goals, and obviously last night his efforts led them into overtime. But at the same time, you address some of the malpractice from a defensive perspective. Like, that is what he's being paid to do on a certain level. His offensive skills are there too. But the Kevin Fiala goal where Laferriere sort of like chips the puck up, and Bouchard is obviously a little out of position, but then he gets turned around and Fiala's blowing by him and he puts the puck in the net. Like, it's not all his fault, but you have to be a little bit more defensively sound when you're like, okay, where is Fiala? If he gets behind me, I'm done, and he gets torched on that play. And
sometimes it's less of one. It's the death of 1,000 cuts. So it's not like one glaring mistake with him, but it's, at least defensively, it's more of like he could do 3 things slightly better, and it puts him in a better position to hold coverage or, whatever it is. But it's more of like the death of 1,000 cuts rather than just an inopportune giveaway or something like that. I feel like there's less of that than there is just seemingly like no back check pressure or anything like of the sorts.
And it's been, him and Nurse have obviously had to step up defensively without Ekholm, and I think it's glaring as to why these games have been so chaotic. It's been, by all accounts, in my opinion, the most entertaining series of all 8. For sure. No bias. It's just been, there's no predictability. And from the LA Kings perspective, a lot of the conversation has been about Edmonton and how good they've been or how bad they've been, and it's been less about how LA has been playing. I just want to give them both credit and take the credit away because they've won games Edmonton's way. And I was about to come on the podcast if the game played out and they won last night, LA did, to suggest that they've also won games their way, LA's way. And obviously they proceed to blow the game. Like they've done it multiple times in this series, whether it's led to victories or losses. They've blown leads like crazy. And both teams haven't played great. There's been a lot of reasons as to why. But if LA is going to win, they're going to have to play their style, I think, for the rest of the series and sort of try and shut these guys down. Draisaitl and McDavid, there's just no stopping them. You're going to have to just sort of mitigate their chances. Like Warren Foegele, Kevin Bieksa pulled a play from Warren Foegele last night where he was shadowing McDavid on the power play the whole time. And there wasn't a lot of coverage in the front of the net, but they didn't score on the power play. And that was because Foegele basically eliminated any possibility of McDavid getting the puck. And that neutralizes a lot of the power play because the rest of the team doesn't know what system to run without their number one forward there. So that might be a good way to kind of transition. But the series, I've looked at the top point getters, the top 11. Normally you go top 10, but 11 because a lot of the players are tied for playoff points, and therefore the top 11 in the NHL in playoff points. 6 of the top 11 players are in this series. And a couple of years ago, you might think, all right, 5 are from Edmonton and 1 is from LA, but it's been 3 and 3. You have Kempe, Kopitar, and Deneau of all people on LA side, and then your Draisaitl's, your McDavid's, and your Bouchards, which is not surprising in the least. But I don't know if it's either going to be the winner of the series is either going to be LA playing their style and holding on to a lead, or Edmonton and Edmonton not being able to sort of come back. So it's going to be either LA has to not blow leads or Edmonton is going to have to get ahead. And I just don't know which one is going to happen first because eventually you can't come back every game and LA can't blow it.
You're going to get burned.
It's an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. I don't know which one's
going to
happen
first. I think the most
first.
entertaining result is probably, and whether like whoever wins the series, but to get it to a game 7 where LA is winning in the Edmonton fashion. I want to see just like more of like just the track meet stuff. I mean, we saw it in the back half, and I don't know if LA can win track meet. I think they could win it though over a 60-minute game, because I think there's more waves to their offense if they stick to it, right? The thing with Edmonton is, right, it's constant McDavid, Draisaitl, but we're dying for anyone other than them and Bouchard to do stuff, to the point where Corey Perry scores a goal yesterday, and then we're just like in awe of Corey Perry that he's like maybe a top 5 important piece on this team. That should not be the case, right?
No,
so
for sure.
And I agree with you, Mando. Definitely most entertaining series. Other like obviously
as a neutral
on the
for
Leafs
sure.
one,
Yes,
but from every other series I've watched, that is incredible stuff. It also helps that Jack Michaels is on the call because he makes everything sound incredible.
And there's the crowd sounds we're hearing from both the Bell Center and from Rogers.
From Rogers Arena. Place?
Is it Place or is Place? Arena is in Vancouver. Place, it's the Sportsnet's broadcaster getting the crowd sounds. It's insane. It's insane.
Great goal song. Crowd gets into it. Great goal horn too. Like just a loud arena.
They're back. I think I'm not going to predict the rest of the series because I have no idea. It's impossible to know what happens next. But that's my thoughts. But good breakdown here, boys.
Very well said, Mando. Thank you for that.
Of course.
On that note, I think we'll wrap it up over here. Once again, thank you if you stayed right to the end. Don't forget to subscribe to the Second Look Sports channel if you already have. Don't forget to like and share this video with your friends. Stay tuned to the Second Look account for more hockey content in the coming weeks. Don't forget, you could also see producer Mando on the Second Look Sports show that comes out every Friday. Don't forget to head to our socials, follow all of them. Links are in our bio. On that note, let's have another just great week. Hopefully we get to come back here next week and talk about maybe some playoff clinching games, right? Some round one wins. So we'll be looking forward to that for next week. Other than that, we'll see you then.